one of the houses I bought was a family where they had a whole bunch of foster kids living in the home. And part of their agreement with the state was that they were not going to upset these kids' living arrangement. And so they didn't want to have the open houses and the showings and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, make them clean up their stuff all the time and constantly on edge.
From cornfields to high rises, office to industrial, houses to hotels, and every other asset class in real estate, we cover the people, the projects, and the profit. Welcome to the Investing in Iowa show. This show is for go-doers, action takers, and business owners. It's for people like you who are sick of Uncle Sam taking a huge bite of your apple. If you're looking to get ahead of what's taking place in Iowa, learn who is doing what, and how you can get in on the action, you're in the right place. Hosted by Neil Timmins, an Iowa native who has been involved in over $300 million in real estate right here in Iowa. Recording in studio from West Des Moines. Here's your host, Neil Timmins.
I've got Paul Hickman here on the show. Paul, welcome.
Good to be here.
I'm excited to have you. Say, for the audience's sake, who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
So I'm a HomeVestors franchisee here in Des Moines, and I've got two other franchises. I've got an Omaha location and a Madison, Wisconsin location. I was a hockey coach at the University of Wisconsin for 17 years.
Yeah.
Cost of living was outpacing my rate of compensation. Knew I had to do something different. Got into real estate. Quickly figured out that I didn't like being an agent and really meshed well with investors and moved on to ultimately buy a HomeVestors franchise in Madison. And I've owned some in several different locations now, and we're still operating these three and really like it.
Where are you from originally?
I grew up in Washington, D.C. area.
Okay.
So, nobody's really from there. I kind of tell people I'm not really from anywhere.
Yeah.
I've bounced around a lot,
Yeah.
but lived in Wisconsin longer than anywhere else, but been in this part of the country for about 3 years now.
Yeah.
So
How'd you land in Wisconsin?
I went there for school and
Okay.
then didn't leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
What got you into hockey?
we went to a Washington Capitals game with the Cub Scouts.
Okay.
And I'd never seen it before and was captivated by it.
Yeah.
And just was kind of the first domino to fall that led me down that path. And I don't know how old I was, 6, 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
Loved it ever since.
I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about that sport kept you engaged in it for so long?
I think it's the creativity goes along with it. You didn't really have a playbook that, and could kind of just sort of do what you wanted and figure it out and be creative with the other players on the ice. So
It looks so free, from a layperson's perspective, right? Never playing. I mean, it looks so free flowing, almost like there is no plan. And certainly that's not the case, but it is so free flowing though.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have a game plan, but you don't
Yeah.
have really set plays or
Yeah.
anything like that. So I was with the women's hockey program at Wisconsin, and there's still a lot of Wisconsin gals that are at the Olympics right now this week as we're
That's right.
recording this.
Yes.
And so it's kind of fun to see them. But when you put those teams together, they don't get a lot of time to practice. And so that's a unique aspect of hockey is that you can throw them out there and let them go.
Yeah.
So, I've tried to take that to real estate and, go and you walk into somebody's living room, you're not really sure what to expect.
Yeah.
You don't know what's on the other side of the front door. You don't know what their, you know, personal situation is or family situation or medical issues or financial situation. You just have to kind of draw that information out of them and be creative as you're working through the process.
Yeah, that's a great bridge. I like that segue. So talk to me about that. As a HomeVestors franchise, I mean, you're buying houses.
Right.
That's your sweet spot. So
Mhm.
maybe talk to me about what that looks like, how long you've been doing it here in town. I know you got multiple locations, which is fantastic. And so I'll dive more into that in a minute because I'm curious about how you operate it. But talk to me about, here in town, you're walking in and you're problem solving at the end of the day.
Right. So, I just left a house in Ames and pulled up, and frankly, I didn't have a whole lot of the backstory. We've actually got a gal on our team who takes our inbound calls from, anybody who's looking to sell their house. And she's a former sheriff's deputy. She was a detective.
Okay.
And so she's got the heart of a servant. She's really compassionate and she's really good at drawing information out of people.
Yeah.
But I don't always get as much information as I'd like.
Sure.
So sometimes we show up at a house and just have to, I think it's all about like caring for people. Anything that can be done with high integrity can be done with low integrity, I think. So, we want to be the high integrity people and really look for a solution for that homeowner, that person that's looking to sell their house.
Yeah.
Try and draw information out of them so that we can position ourselves as a solution to whatever it is they're trying to do.
Sure.
We don't want to be the bottom feeder cockroach, you know, person that I mean, a lot of times people in this industry get a bad rap, and we want to be the good guys.
Yeah.
So
What does that look like when you're into a deal or in the conversation or helping somebody?
I think it's asking a lot of questions,
Mm,
and it's asking the right questions.
mhm.
Why'd you call us? Why now?
Yeah.
Like, what else is going on? Tell me about your family. Tell me about your, job situation. Where are you moving to? Who are the decision makers?
Yeah.
And as you have those conversations, I think if you're sincere and authentic, people are willing to share.
Yeah.
Because so there's a HomeVestors franchisee in Detroit who's got a bunch of great one-liners, but he says that we're kind of like the suicide hotline of real estate.
Mm,
Where if somebody is a good fit for a retail sale and they could just have a real estate agent come over, spike a sign in the yard, they've got it all figured out.
yeah.
It's the people who have challenges,
Yeah.
and we just don't know what those challenges
Yeah.
are yet.
Yeah. And so oftentimes, for the audience's sake, those who have never seen behind the curtain here, and I've been involved in this,
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of homes, right? In the off market realm. I mean, there is a huge, call it a shadow market, a huge population of homes that sell off market as is
Yeah.
that really only investors are buying because investors are the best at solving the problems, which are almost never, give me this price.
Right. Yeah. Their problem is not the most money.
Yeah.
And I tell people again, I think, if you're going to be high integrity in this business, you need to be transparent. You need
Yes.
to be forthcoming. And I tell people all the time, if you want or need the most money, you are absolutely entitled to that. You're just not going to get it from me.
Correct.
So if you need a referral to a real estate agent because you don't have one, I'd love to set you up with somebody.
Correct.
Alternatively, if there's something else going on where money is not the most important driver in this decision, then let's talk about
Right.
what this needs to look like to make it work
Right.
for you. And I mean, obviously, we're going to see the cat ladies, the hoarders, someone's on their way to a nursing home and they need to go quickly, or maybe there's an unexpected job change. But we see all kinds of stuff. One of the houses I bought was a family where they had a whole bunch of foster kids living in the home. And part of their agreement with the state was that they were not going to upset these kids' living arrangement. And so they didn't want to have the open houses and the showings and all that kind of stuff, make them clean up their stuff all the time and constantly on edge. So we went in while the kids were at school. Parents toured us around. We reached an agreement with the parents. Part of that agreement was that we were going to close on the house and then they were going to have a period of occupancy to allow those kids to transition to the next house and
Sure.
really have that be a nice, smooth process
Yeah.
so that they didn't feel like they're getting kicked out of their house.
Yeah. What an amazing ability to go in there and solve that problem.
Exactly. And so, I mean, this was an affluent family in a nice neighborhood. And when you're driving up, it looks like every other house on the block,
Yeah.
but they had a very unique challenge that needed a solution that we were able to offer.
Yeah. I bought a house years ago. I mean, we buy a few, as I told you, but not very often. But this was years ago when I was buying a lot. Older couple, right? Maybe I'm going to say early 80s, somewhere in that range.
Mhm.
They wintered in Texas. And so they had another property and they had their house here and they had two of everything. And so literally when it was time for them to go, money for them is not the most important thing.
Right.
Time for them is the most important thing. When you're 80, it's limited.
Yeah.
Well, it's limited for all of us. It's
Yeah,
just
I mean,
more limited.
Those hands on the clock are spinning a little bit faster.
That's right. For them, it wasn't money. And so they said, hey, just so you know, when you buy this house, you're getting everything. All the dishes, all the silverware. I got two of everything. I only need one. We're going south and this is it. And so great. Right. We can solve that problem for him.
Well, I mean, like we just discussed offline before we started this conversation, I was buying a house this was someone in Wisconsin who it was an older woman that was going to move to live full time with her daughter. And she had made really good financial choices, but was 3 or 4 hours from where her daughter was living.
Yeah.
Daughter was divorced and, had a couple kids, but just did not have the time and energy to deal with a lot of mom's stuff. And mom didn't care anymore. She wanted to be with her daughter.
Yeah.
And they left food in the fridge, canned goods in the pantry, dishes in the cupboards, just like clothes hanging in the closet.
Right.
We took it just the way it was, including the car in the garage and the lawnmower and everything else.
Yeah.
And we dealt with all of it.
Yeah. I think it's occasionally I hear investors getting a hard rap. I think it's oftentimes there's not enough context. There's not enough details behind that story to have a really good understanding of what's transpiring, what's taking place.
Well, and on a superficial level, it would sound like I took advantage of a grandma.
Sure.
The reality was I was sitting there with the homeowner, the older woman, and her daughter. And I spelled out all the possibilities,
Right.
and they wanted a fair, firm cash offer
Right.
that was just guaranteed money. And we literally discussed, like, when we reach an agreement, you guys can get in the car, drive home, and you don't ever have to come back.
That's right.
And they could make complete
Right.
sense of that.
I liken it to a car. If you want to sell your car, go get it detailed, do a whole bunch of things, put it, price it correctly, go put it on the corner, market it
Yeah.
in all the
Take the
places.
phone calls, put it
That's
on
right.
Facebook.
Yeah. Or if you want an easy, go to a car dealer.
Yeah. Turn in the keys at the dealership and, they'll trade it in for you and off you go.
I mean, that's not far different from this line of
No,
work.
and I love that metaphor. And
Yeah,
I use that metaphor often
sure.
because the reality is people buy and sell cars far more often than they buy and sell
Correct.
houses.
That's right.
And so, it's a big expensive asset. And, it's something that, your identity is oftentimes tied to and that sort of thing, like a home.
Sure.
But you can frame the home sale in the context of something else that they may have done more frequently since they bought their house.
Yeah, no doubt. You didn't work this hard to earn next to nothing on your money. Savings accounts barely move the needle. Tech stocks, AI stocks, it kind of feels like Vegas out there right now. Rentals, too oftentimes it means tenants, toilets, termites, and not the cash flow you were thinking. Well, so I've got an alternative. Little Guy Loans Co-Lending Fund. Qualified accredited investors are earning 10 to 11% annual passive returns. It's paid quarterly by co-lending with us alongside me on short-term first lien real estate loans right here in the greater Des Moines area. Your money's backed by a real property, not promises. It stays close to home. We've successfully funded well over $10 million in loans right here in central Iowa. So if you want steady income without headaches, click the link below in the show notes. Let's connect. We'll see if it's a fit for you. Okay, so you buy a house, then what happens? Walk me through maybe the range of options for what you do next.
We try to consider the specific property, and to use industry jargon, you talk about exit
Yep.
strategies. Really, it's how are we going to sell this house?
Yep.
And so in certain neighborhoods, might make a lot of sense to invest some money into it, fix it up, polish it up, and sell it as a bright, shiny retail product. Other neighborhoods, depending on what that neighborhood is asking for, we might do some work to it and turn around and sell it. Other times we might just clean it out and sell it. It kind of all depends on what the house is, what the neighborhood demands, how we can make it fit into, what the world is looking for at that price point and, how that house fits.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's all different options of ways to go about it. I mean, sometimes we'll find a financial partner
Sure.
who, maybe they've watched a lot of HGTV. They want to be involved in this kind of thing. They don't know how to find it.
Right.
And maybe we're a little jammed up. We got enough projects going on and
Right.
somebody says, well, that one works for me. So tell you what, why don't you take that one?
Yeah. Rehabbing. Talk to me about when you've rehabbed a whole bunch of them. When it's gone really well, what are the things that have required for it to go well? And when it goes wrong, what's transpired?
Well, sometimes you just plain get lucky. I think most often we've got a really great team of contractors led by a general contractor. I mean, he's a 1099, doesn't work for me. He runs his own business, but we've got a lot of trust. We've got an open line of communication. He's got an understanding of what our business model is. I understand what his model is. And we work together towards a finished product. When we buy a house, we try to bring the real estate agent in right from the get go so we can decide what we're going to do with it before we start heading down that path.
Sure.
Because again, we want to make sure that this is something that's going to be sellable.
Yeah.
And so working with that contractor to put the right finishes in it or pick the right colors or do whatever the right things are
Yeah.
to it
Yeah.
to be able to sell it is a big part of it. And again, I think it's all about open lines of communication and, I don't beat him up over what he charges. And, I think he's fair towards me.
Yeah.
His people appreciate knowing that there's always more work coming for him. So it's a great partnership.
How do you build out a scope of work, and where do you do that in the process if you're going to go rehab something?
So, I mean, when we go and visit the house at first, when we're going to buy it, we've got a pretty good idea of what we're probably going to do.
Yeah.
But then, some time could pass. Our inventory of the houses that we own at any given time is changing. The inventory of what's for sale in the market is constantly changing. And so once we're going to close on it or we do close on it and we own it, we want to sort of reevaluate what that plan is.
Sure.
Because, like I said, it could have been a couple months has passed. And maybe when we first started this process, there was nothing for sale. And now there's 3 on the same block for sale.
Right.
That changes the plan. Or maybe there were 3 on the block and now there's nothing.
Right.
And again, changes the plan. So we very early on, we'll kind of decide what we can do. And when you're when we're remodeling a house, one of the variables that we can control for that makes the biggest difference in our bottom line is time.
Hmm.
And so our goal is from the time we close on it to the time it is active for sale on the MLS, we want that to be less than a month. And so that means a lot of work is going to happen real fast.
That means a lot of work has to happen real fast, but it also means that you're only remodeling you're only buying properties to remodel if they fit inside of a specific box.
Right. Because we want to be selling it in the same market we bought it.
Yes.
We don't want 6 months of time to pass.
Your ARV's off.
Right.
Yeah.
Our after repair value is off.
Right.
The season of the year has changed. Again, the inventory has changed. We want to really be quick and nimble. And, obviously, if it's a bigger project, we're not going to hit that 30-day goal.
Right.
Other times we buy houses where literally we'll close on it on a Friday, send a couple handymen over there on the weekend,
Right.
and we're taking photos and staging and everything on, early the next week and for sale by the next weekend with open houses and all that.
Yeah. Under 30 days, you're probably spending 35 grand or less on average.
Right around there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you typically wholesale off? If it's a big remodel, it's going to be 6 figures. That thing get wholesale or wholesale off, or do you tackle it and it's
all
a
depends.
3-month deal? It depends on the property.
It depends on. So I don't ever want to spend more in a remodel than I anticipate making in profit.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
So if it's going to be a 6-figure remodel, I'd better be positioned to
Yeah.
earn 6 figures
Yeah.
on the back end.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that house is probably better suited to somebody who could maybe buy it, owner occupy it,
Right.
and fix it up while they're living in it.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's a little better for a weekend warrior
Sure.
that, has different expectations in terms of margins.
Yeah.
Or values their own time or labor differently.
Very differently. Yeah. As in not at all. Seen that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But-
Exactly.
and I end up telling sellers that too. Is like, you're not going to find me here on a Saturday swinging a hammer or
Correct.
putting paint up.
No.
My job is to sit in the living room and find a way to buy the house. And after that, I want to hand it off to the contractor, and then the contractor gets done with it and it goes to the realtor and
let the team go.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
If you're a house flipper, execute the BRRRR strategy or do double closings and are in need of money, Little Guy Loans is your go-to lender here in the Des Moines area. Time is money. Loan approvals in 24 hours. Closings in 5 days. Little Guy Loans was founded by Neil Timmins, an investor just like you. Since he has been in over 10,000 homes in Des Moines, there's never an appraisal. Houses, multifamily, and commercial property loans up to $1 million. Check out www.littleguyloans.com.
Do you keep anything for rentals?
So part of as we've discussed, moved around a little bit, coming to the Des Moines and Omaha areas was with the expectation of building a rental portfolio.
Mhm.
So, we sort of identified these as areas that were a little more favorable towards rentals.
Sure.
The Madison, Wisconsin area is a really challenging place to rent. And so we didn't do that there.
Yeah.
We've been in some other areas where, there's kind of political factors or other things, just things in the local real estate market that made it less appealing to hold rentals in that area. But we've, like I say, identified this area as a place we really want to do that. And so we're kind of scaling up to that, and identified, do we want to keep them in a specific community, or are we okay with them being spread out a little bit?
Sure.
Would anticipate that very soon we'll do more and more of that.
Yeah. 2026. What are you most excited about?
Oh boy. This business is constantly changing. And, as we were kind of discussing earlier, that I think a lot of people want to look back a couple years and talk about what was just happening or what's happened
Sure.
recently. And, I want to be looking out the, windshield all the time.
Yeah.
I'm always excited for what's coming next and what we're going to be able to do to adapt and do something new and different and learning what's changing in the market.
Yeah.
So, I'd love to see interest rates come down. I'd love to see, buyer appetite increase. And, I don't get to control any of that though.
Right.
I just have to, swim with the current and see where we're going.
Yeah. What led you to HomeVestors franchise? Meaning, why that versus non-franchise?
So as I said, when I first got into real estate, I was an agent, and I pretty quickly figured out that I did not love working with normal retail clients. The buyers had expectations that their budget couldn't quite keep pace with. Sellers thought that their stuff was worth more than it really was. And massaging those relationships and making those people understand that was just, I mean, it was a challenge that I was up to. And frankly, I did pretty well at it, but I didn't love it.
Love it. Yeah.
And what I found though is the investors were seeing things. It was spreadsheets and it was dollars and cents, and there was no emotion in it.
Yeah.
And I get that there are people that love their house and they swept up in the emotion of the house, but as we discussed, I've kind of moved around a
Yeah.
fair amount in my life, and so to me, I mean, home is wherever my mail gets delivered,
Sure.
and my family can, as far as I'm concerned, we can sleep just about. Excuse me. My family, we can live anywhere. So um, I kind of look at houses as sticks and bricks,
Yeah.
and less of an emotional connection. And so that seems to resonate a little better with investors.
Probably. It will help you from an investing standpoint because
Oh,
if you think
sure will.
as soon as emotion creeps in,
You're cooked.
you're cooked. You're right about that. How many times have I seen that with investors making poor decisions
Well,
as soon as an emotion's involved?
try not to. And so the way I got involved with HomeVestors, to go back to the original
Yeah.
question, was as an agent. A friend of mine owned a HomeVestors franchise in Madison, Wisconsin. He was selling a house in Beloit, Wisconsin, which is kind of a blue collar area, a little kind of economically depressed. We're not talking real high home values. So, and this is 2019 dollars. This house it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house selling for $78,000. And so when I would work with an investor, I didn't always pay that close of attention to what was on the closing statement.
Sure.
When closing came around, I'd make sure that they had the price right and
Yep.
made sure I was getting paid what I was supposed to be getting
Right.
paid. But I figured that investor knew how to read the closing statement and knew it was on there.
Yeah.
And so right above the line for uh, my commission was a loan payoff. And I called up this friend of mine and I said, "What is this? There's a loan payoff on here." I said, "I thought you paid cash for these." And he's like, "Oh, no, no, no. We make cash offers. We put a loan on everything."
Yeah.
And this was, you know, blew my mind. You know, I didn't realize that, I didn't need to be sitting on $1 million cash.
Right.
And so I started asking more and more questions and diving into what HomeVestors was all about, what the franchise model was all about, and did a whole lot of research. I talked to Chris Ruud as an example,
Sure.
and kind of looked into all different models. And quite frankly, I was pretty convinced that I could do my own advertising. It didn't make sense to spend the money on buying a franchise, and I could just figure this out on my own. If there was some opportunity cost there, it would offset what I would have spent on a franchise.
Sure.
And HomeVestors has an event they call Discovery Day. They have 2 conventions a year, one in the middle of the year and one at the end of the year. And so I went down to Dallas for their Discovery Day at their mid-year convention, because I felt like I owed it to myself, I owed it to this friend of mine, I owed it to my family to know what I was saying no to.
Sure.
And when I went down there and got in with this group of franchisees, 5 or 600 people, I recognized that I was not buying some sort of secret sauce. You can watch a YouTube video and figure out how to make an offer on a
Sure.
house. What I was buying access to was a network.
Hmm.
And so, like was on a book club Zoom meeting this morning. There are all kinds of other groups and, lots of people that we can call and reach out to. So for example, in the Des Moines area, there's 3 franchises. 2 of us are really, really active in the business. We communicate all the time. We talk about, you know, best practices back and forth with our, what we're doing in our business and, what business decisions we're making and how we're funding things and what sort of remodel we're going to do, how we're going to exit. So having access to that pool of people is great.
Yeah.
HomeVestors also offers a whole lot of resources, so we don't have to worry about how we're going to fund a deal.
Sure.
There's plenty of funding resources, which
Yeah.
is you're aware, once you're established, it's real easy to get funding.
Correct.
But the first couple are real hard. And so having that baked in the mix, having a lot of other vendor resources that help to keep costs down is helpful. And so it kind of offsets a little bit of that expense.
Yeah.
So that was what drew me into the franchise model. Plus, I come from a background in athletics, and
Right.
so the sort of the team model and having people to rely on and people who relied on me made a lot of sense to me.
No, that's fantastic. Paul, you ready for the final 3 questions?
Let me have it.
If you had one piece of advice for your 20-year-old self, what would it be?
Buy rentals.
Love it. 2 books that changed your life.
It seems like a cop out, but I guess I would say the Bible because it's a foundational piece in a lot of people's lives. It means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Um, someone shared the book, The Four Agreements with me
Hmm.
when I was kind of young and impressionable. And I don't even remember what all four are, but it kind of boils down to like, you're not that important,
Ah,
and don't get so wound up and thinking about yourself or thinking that the world is out to get you. Just put your head down and go get it.
yeah,
And then I also really, really like the 10X rule by Grant Cardone.
sure.
Just the idea of like, you know, just more of everything can solve most of your problems.
Yeah.
So
If you were cast away on an island for a year, you can only get 3 pieces of data about your business each and every month. What 3 things must you know every month to know how your business is running?
oh boy. Uh, I would want to know what our cash position is.
Yeah.
I would want to know what we're holding in inventory and what is in the pipeline coming.
That's great.
Because what's on its way out will take care of itself.
That's right. Yeah.
And what we're holding will answer a lot of other questions. But you got to be feeding the white end of the pipe.
Yeah.
If you want anything coming out the other end.
Exactly. Paul, I asked lots of questions. This has been great. I've learned a lot. What's one question I did not ask that I should have asked?
You didn't ask me about how it works with multiple franchises of the same company in the same market.
Yeah, let's do it. Explain it.
And I think
Yeah.
that is the real beauty of HomeVestors. So we do not compete with each other. We pool our advertising dollars together to take greater market share and to have a bigger splash in our market.
Yeah.
And then based on the dollars we spend in any given month, the leads that come in from that marketing are distributed in a weighted fashion that,
Across.
that coincides with how much we spend. So, if one guy is spending twice as much as the other guy, the guy who's spending twice as much gets twice as many leads. And through that system, we are not butting heads. We're not competing.
Yeah.
We're actually able to strengthen each other versus competing with each other. Because as you know, there's a lot of competition in this space.
No doubt.
And we are going head to head with all those other guys, but we actually bolster each other and lift each other up.
Yeah.
And that's, I think the real value of working together with somebody else.
That's it's amazing because you're right. So how many other franchises can say that? Because oftentimes it's you're competing head to head.
Yeah, I mean, you could have two McDonald's is
Sure.
separated by a half a mile, and they're owned by two different franchisors,
Correct.
and they're competing with each other.
Yep. Yeah. They don't want to share resources. They don't want to share whatever it is, whatever little problem. I know it's a big organization, but they don't want to share all the details.
Right, but like the other HomeVestors franchisee who's really active in the Des Moines area, we share contractors, share painters, electricians, mud jacking guys, foundation guys. Like we're sharing those resources because we know if we can keep those guys busy and leave them with a positive impression of us, they're gonna answer a call.
They're going to answer the call. They're going to move faster, and sooner or later, you're going to get better pricing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Paul, for people that want to find you, follow you, connect with you, where can they go? What should they do?
So I'm the Paul Hickman on all social media, but quite frankly, I'm not that good at social media. You can follow us through HomeVestors has a website, homevestors.com. You can find me there. And I've just gotten in the habit, I give out my cell phone number to everybody. So my cell phone number is 684, or you can email me, paul@hickman.group. Those contacts haven't changed in years. They're not going to change. And so this thing is evergreen. You can always find me.
There you go. Paul, I appreciate you being here.
Pleasure.
Thanks for listening. If you're enjoying the show, may I ask a favor of you? Naturally, subscribe so you never miss an episode. But would you rate and leave an honest written review on Apple Podcasts? It does a lot for us here at the show, and I appreciate reading your thoughts. Great guests make for a great show. If you know of another island who would be a great guest, or you yourself have interest in being a guest, well, get on our radar. Visit Investing in Iowa to fill out an application or recommend a guest. And if you want to connect with me one-on-one, go to LegacyImpactInvestors.com. Click on the Invest With Us button in the top right corner, and there you can pick a time for the two of us to get on the calendar and connect. Until next time, keep investing in Iowa.